I rushed out of the restaurant, leaving Will and Ethan behind. Luckily, Todd wasn't still waiting for me where we'd agreed to meet. I'd been so inconsiderate, making him wait for so long for nothing. And to top it off, I'd made him wait just so I could end up tangled up with Ethan in the bathroom. The thought of that made me feel even worse. Damn it, Ellie, have you lost your mind? It was supposed to be a one-time thing. Getting involved with him in the restaurant's restroom was never part of my plan. I wanted to regret it, really wanted to. But damn it all, that feeling was just too incredible, one of the most thrilling experiences of my entire life. Now it's too late to regret it. Morgan really can drive me crazy, but I'd been craving this myself, too, and that only made things even worse. Going through it again would only complicate things between us even further. Spending one night with him? I could handle that. But letting something like this happen again, that'd be a mistake. It'd inevitably make people start wondering, does he have feelings for me? Especially since he's been constantly asking about Todd, insisting on knowing whether I'd go back to him. Does he even care? It just doesn't add up. But the way he looked when he saw me with Todd, full of anger and resentment, that was definitely not a sign of indifference. Why on earth am I even thinking about this? Whether he cares about me or not, it simply doesn't matter. He made it perfectly clear from the start, all he's interested in is physical intimacy. This whole thing was a mistake I can't afford to make again. I've got to stay away from Ethan. I can't let him think I'm some kind of casual plaything he can call on whenever he pleases. Damn it. Now that Will knows, it means Anne'll find out soon too. If I hadn't had to explain it to her, maybe I could have forgotten all this more easily. But now it's too late. I'm thinking of sending her a text message. Maybe if I tell her first, she won't be so furious that she wants to kill me. But what should I say? As I walked along the sidewalk on my way home, I started typing. Good morning. Sorry I didn't tell you earlier, I slept with that jerk Morgan. No, that's just too awkward. Maybe I should say, I slept with Ethan and Will caught us in the act. Nope, that's not right either. How about this? I'll tell you everything. Don't believe a single word Will says. That actually sounds pretty good. I hit the send button. When I got home, I couldn't find Todd anywhere. I'd wanted to apologize to him face to face, but he'd probably already gone to work. Then I sent him a message apologizing, and even made up an excuse about feeling unwell. I prayed he hadn't seen Ethan at the restaurant. Anna arrived earlier than usual. She'd already sent me dozens of messages, some threatening and others filled with comments like, I can't believe you actually slept with him. My God. You two are in the bathroom. I really should have killed you. She walked over to my desk and said, why didn't you tell me? So whenever I start seeing someone else, you just show up 10 minutes early, huh? I teased. Who asked you to make jokes like that? I'm seriously mad at you. I'm sorry, I said. I thought you told me everything. She sat down on the chair across from my desk, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear. I did want to tell you, I just hadn't decided yet when exactly to say it. But now I know Will just can't keep a secret at all. He's upset about Ethan, and he's worried about you, too. I'm sorry. We never should have let him catch us in the first place. So you've been planning to keep this whole thing from us all along, she raised an eyebrow. No. This was a mistake, Anna. It was always meant to be a one-time thing. Fine. I'll give you 10 minutes to tell me everything, no details left out. What do you want to know? Will said you went to Ethan's apartment. Is that true? How on earth did Will find out? Ethan made it perfectly clear he didn't want anyone to know about us. Maybe Will forced him to spill the beans. It's true. I remember you saying you'd rather find someone who wasn't such a jerk. I remember you saying it's okay sometimes if it's just physical attraction. Yeah, I did say that. I'm not blaming you, I'm just curious why you changed your mind. He made me feel a thrill I hadn't felt in ages, I said after a moment's pause, admitting it at last. It wasn't easy to say those words out loud. Wow. She raised her eyebrows in surprise, then frowned again, looking uncertain. So, is that a good thing? No. Not good at all. That's exactly why I lost my temper this morning and ended up having sex with him, right there in that bathroom. Wait a minute. Let's go back to the beginning. You went over to his apartment, and then you had sex with him. Why did you go there? Did he ask you to go? Yes. He came by my place on Monday morning. And then he talked you into meeting up with him. I wanted to go myself, so I just went. That's it? Just that simple. A hint of teasing laughter tugged at the corners of her lips. Just that simple. What else do you want me to say? Nothing, well, it's just. This doesn't sound like something you'd ever do. You're making me sound totally boring. Not that, I'm just saying you've always insisted you didn't want to be with someone just for physical attraction or because of others' expectations. She shrugged. I know. You must be sick of hearing me say it already. Did it feel good? I mean, it must have been great. Otherwise you wouldn't have said he made you feel that way, and you'd never have ended up in the bathroom with him. She pursed her lips, trying hard not to laugh. Great doesn't even begin to cover it. I sighed, admitting it at last. Damn it. Don't tell me Morgan has gotten under your skin. Her voice was laced with genuine concern. I could lie and say it was awful. But the truth is, that was the most unforgettable intimate moment of my entire life. Oh, Ellie, why do I have this feeling it's not a good thing? Because it isn't. I just can't afford to get too caught up in it. This kind of thing absolutely can't happen again. Why not? You know why. He's only interested in physical intimacy, and I'm not the type of person who can accept that kind of relationship. I'm sorry. It's okay. I've been heartbroken before, and I've always made it through, so I'll make it through this time, too, right? Just because that was the most unforgettable intimate moment of your life? As my best friend, shouldn't you be saying something like, Ellie, you're going to be fine? Of course you'll be fine, she said. Thanks, I replied sarcastically. Let's pick up our conversation over lunch. Make sure you tell me every single detail then. As she spoke, she stood up, walked around the desk, and kissed me gently on the cheek. You know this isn't going to help me forget it all, right? That's exactly the point. That's your punishment for not telling me sooner, she said with a smug smile before heading toward the exit. Over lunch, Anna really did push me to spill every last detail. I took the opportunity to tell her about Todd as well. When I mentioned that I'd let Todd sleep on the couch, she nearly lost it. Even after I explained that I was just trying to forgive him and move forward together, she kept insisting I stay away from Todd. I think she was worried Todd might talk me into giving him another chance, but for me, it's almost impossible. She also reminded me that our trip was coming up soon. I hadn't realized how quickly time was passing. There was just over a week left. Zoe had been planning this trip for quite some time. She'd wanted all of us to go together somewhere in the countryside, or maybe into the mountains. I can't quite remember now. When I got off work, Anna showed up again at my doorstep and said we were heading out to our usual restaurant for dinner. By the time we arrived at the restaurant, everyone else was already seated at the table, waiting for us. Luckily, everyone was there except Ethan. As soon as we sat down, I noticed that everyone around the table was deliberately avoiding eye contact with me, as if they were hiding something. Only Zoe was an exception. She kept staring straight at me. It was only then that I realized they'd all found out about what had happened between Ethan and me. Even though they're my friends, this situation still feels really awkward. Zoe, do you have something you'd like to ask me? I raised an eyebrow, knowing full well she couldn't hold it in any longer. If Will hadn't walked in on you guys, were you planning to keep this a secret from us forever? She narrowed her eyes, and Bennett, sitting next to her, shook his head. I don't think it's necessary for everyone at this table to know about my personal business. But since you're so curious, let me be clear, it was just a passing whim. There won't be a second time. We're just worried about you, Will said, his voice laced with genuine concern. No need to worry, Will. I'm not that naive. The line between Ethan and me is perfectly clear. You don't have to fear he'll break my heart. And as I've said before, what happened this morning was just a mistake. So, it was just a mistake this morning? Zoe looked at me provocatively. Don't be like that, Bennett warned her. It's okay, Bennett, I reassured him. No, Zoe, I don't regret sleeping with him. But I really shouldn't have done it again. Are you satisfied now? Why not? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Because Ethan made it perfectly clear from the start. He's only interested in physical intimacy, and everyone here knows I'm not looking for that kind of relationship. Is there anything else you'd like to ask? She was really getting under my skin. Why on earth did my personal business have to be discussed in front of 6 people? So, if Ethan wanted more than just physical intimacy, would you be willing? She said, arching her brow. I knew exactly what Zoe was up to. She just wanted to find out whether I was really interested in Ethan. But she's gone too far now. Enough is enough. Bennett couldn't take it anymore and stepped in. You know my little brother doesn't want to date anyone. It's right of Ellie to stay away from him. Thanks, Bennett, I said. Even his own younger brother had admitted that Ethan was only interested in physical encounters. This only strengthened my resolve to keep my distance from him. After dinner, the men stayed behind in the dining room, while the rest of us girls headed out first. Zoe insisted on coming over to my place, clearly eager to find out everything that had happened between Ethan and me. We opened up a tub of ice cream and a few bottles of beer, then sat down in the living room. Zara and Anna took one sofa, while Zoe sat on the other sofa next to me. Just as I'd finished recounting everything that had transpired between Ethan and me, Zoe wore an expression of surprise, mixed with a hint of a suspicious smile. I've got a bad feeling about this, I said. So, what's the final score? Zara raised an eyebrow and asked with a smile. Can I tell them? Anna asked excitedly. Rolling my eyes, I nodded and took a sip of beer. That was the most unforgettable intimate moment of her life, she declared, her gaze darting back and forth between Zara and Zoe. I knew it, Zoe exclaimed. I told you so. It doesn't even matter anymore. Let's stop talking about that and chat about the trip instead. I tried to change the subject. We'll talk about the trip later, Zoe went on. Anna definitely told you about his engagement, right? Bennett didn't want to tell me at first. Apparently, it's a really sensitive topic for Ethan. But I still managed to get Bennett to admit it. The wedding was originally scheduled for a week from then, but it was canceled at the last minute. I can't believe Ethan almost got married. And I just can't fathom why he called off the wedding. Maybe he just wants to keep living as a single guy. What does any of this have to do with us? I sighed, sinking deeper into the sofa as the alcohol started to take effect. Don't you get it? It shows there's a reason Ethan doesn't want to date, some kind of trauma or something like that. Zoe argued. Or maybe you're wrong, he's just a downright asshole who's only interested in using women to satisfy his own desires, nothing more. A straightforward asshole? She gave me a puzzled look. Yeah, because at least he didn't lie to me to get what he wanted. But that still doesn't change the fact that all he ever wanted was to sleep with me. The point is, he reached out to you again this morning. This definitely means something. It means he wants to keep using me to satisfy his desires. Or maybe he's interested in you. Stop stirring up trouble. She might actually be right, Zara interjected, and Zoe rolled her eyes. Come on. You just said he's the most unforgettable intimate partner you've ever had. Shouldn't you just enjoy it? She insisted. If you're suggesting I keep sleeping with him, then no way. No, I'm saying, why don't you try really getting to know each other and see where things go? Easier said than done. But your husband himself said his younger brother doesn't want to date anyone. What clearer answer could you possibly need? Bennett's just trying to protect his little brother. He knows if Ethan ends up falling for you, he'll get hurt, and that's exactly why he's trying to stop it from happening. I think you're overthinking this, I said. So let me say it again. There's absolutely nothing going on between Ethan and me anymore. Oh, Ellie. The things we think we're supposed to do often end up being completely different from what we actually end up doing, especially when we meet the most unforgettable person we'll ever be close to in our lives, she said, holding up her wedding ring. I'm not you, and Ethan's not Bennett. Let's just leave this topic right here, I declared firmly. So can we talk about the trip now? Anna shifted slightly on the sofa and asked. Have you booked the cabin yet? She turned to Zoe. Not yet. I'm still waiting for your brother and Philippa to confirm whether they're coming. Neil and Rosie have already checked with Jack. But I need to know everyone's plans before I can book a cabin big enough for all of us. I'm starting to think being single isn't so bad after all, I said with a smile, thinking about how nice it would be to have my own room. Zoe glanced at me, a sly little grin playing on her lips. What was she up to now? You know, Ellie. Bennett said Ethan's been working way too much lately. We all know he's a total workaholic. I blinked, trying hard to make sense of every word she was saying. So he suggested we invite him along on our trip, just to give him a chance to relax. What? But then today I found out about you guys, so I figured before inviting him, I should first ask you if you'd mind or not. Anna and Zara burst into laughter suddenly, clearly catching on to Zoe's little scheme just as I had. You're totally making this up, aren't you? You're taking it way too far. I can't believe I'm even saying this, she said, trying hard to hide her smile. Why on earth would I make up something like that? Zoe could be downright outrageous sometimes. It's totally obvious you're up to something. Nonsense. I just can't believe you'd actually do something like that. I didn't do anything. You can ask Bennett yourself. I should ask him, because I simply can't believe he'd suggest Ethan and I go on the same trip together. Then I'll just not invite him? You want me to decide for you? Of course, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable at all. I know Zoe so well. She's doing this only to get me to admit that I care about spending time with Ethan, thinking that'll somehow prove her right. But I'm not going to let her win, not even if it means my whole trip gets ruined. Don't worry, I can handle it. If you want to invite him, go ahead, I said firmly. Then I glanced at Anna, who shook her head, as if to tell me that this was a terrible idea. Of course I knew it was a terrible idea. Zoe had turned what was supposed to be a relaxing vacation into my worst nightmare. I simply couldn't imagine what it would be like spending an entire week in the same house as Ethan. On Thursday, I drove over to have lunch with Zara, and the traffic on the way was absolutely horrendous. Why did my life feel so chaotic? I had a great job that I loved, friends who genuinely cared about me, and I'd even cleared things up with my ex-boyfriend. I was finally ready to put him behind me and move forward. My life wasn't really that bad. Maybe it was just my emotions that were all messed up, but I refuse to admit that Ethan is the cause of this turmoil. I'll admit, he's taken up far too much space in my mind, even in my dreams, but that's just desire. I can own up to my own desires. My entire body craves him, and just thinking about what he's done to me makes my whole body flush with heat. Now, almost as soon as I close my eyes at night, I find myself picturing his perfect face drawing closer to mine, those brown eyes locking onto mine, and the sensation of his lips gently resting on my skin. Damn it. Just thinking about him sends me spiraling out of control. Why am I still so caught up, even though I know full well Ethan isn't the kind of guy who'd be right for me? No matter what his reasons are, he doesn't want a serious relationship, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. There's absolutely no hope between us. I have to forget him. I can't let my actions be dictated by desire. And as if everything that's already happened wasn't bad enough, we're supposed to spend an entire week together, assuming he agrees to go on this trip. I'm hoping he'll say no. If he does agree, maybe I'll just have to come up with some excuse to not go after all. The car behind me started honking, pulling me out of my thoughts, and only then did I realize the light had turned green. I parked my car near the restaurant where Zara was waiting for me. As soon as I walked into the restaurant, I spotted her right away. Her red hair stood out unmistakably, no matter where she was. Hey! The traffic was a total nightmare, I complained, walking toward the table where she was sitting. I kissed her cheek, then took a seat. Hey! How've you been? Her brown eyes narrowed, as if she were trying to read my emotions. I'm fine, I lied, shrugging my shoulders. Stop lying. I can almost see the fire burning above your head, and you look like you haven't slept a wink. Oh, thanks for being so blunt about how awful I look. Okay, yeah, I do feel awful. I'm sorry, she said with a sympathetic smile. Is it because of what Zoe said last night? We all know she made it up out of thin air. I have no idea what she's plotting, but she's driving me crazy. I love her, but I really wish she'd just leave me alone. That's just how she is. She thinks you and Ethan have a chance. Tell me you don't agree with her. I really don't. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk to you. What do you mean? All right. First of all, you're always free to say no. I nodded, looking utterly confused. Jack has a friend who's been single for quite a while. Oh no. I sighed, wishing I could just sink into the ground. Let me finish. His name is Anthony. He's a lawyer, really successful, and personally, I think he's fascinating and incredibly charming. And most importantly, he's looking for a serious relationship. Why on earth is everyone suddenly so eager to set me up? It's just an opportunity to meet some interesting people. Plus, it was actually Jack's idea. I don't think this is a good idea at all. Why not? You could use this as a chance to prove to Zoe that you're not interested in Ethan. And it might also keep Todd away from you. Alright, you've got a point, but just don't say no yet. Let me show you a photo of him, she said, her lips curling into a teasing smile. Then you can make up your mind. Fine, I sighed. She picked up her phone, started searching, and then turned the screen toward me. I leaned in closer to get a better look. This is Anthony, she said, pointing at the man standing next to Jack in the photo. He was about the same height as Jack. Anthony had dark, curly hair, captivating blue eyes, and a neatly trimmed beard. He was dressed in a suit, his expression serious yet elegant. He was truly handsome, the kind of man who could draw any woman's attention, not because he was funny or witty, but because there was something mysterious about him. When I looked up, I noticed Zara staring intently at me, waiting for my reaction. How's it going? Fine. He really is quite handsome. She burst into laughter, and I joined in. But she raised an eyebrow. I don't think there's any but to it. So, you're saying you're okay with it? Maybe. Ellie, you've got to be clear, do you agree or not? Do you think he'd like me? When did you become so insecure? You know you're beautiful and smarter than most people. Alright, maybe that's exactly what I need. So, I'm in. Maybe meeting new friends will stop me from dreaming about Ethan. Maybe it'll even help me forget him altogether. Great. We were actually thinking of inviting him over for dinner tomorrow. Oh, that soon. You don't want to, do you? I think it'll be okay. Oh, Jack's invited Ethan too. What? He wants Ethan to meet Sophia. Morgan likes kids? That's quite a surprise. So, can we invite Anthony? If I agree, I'll be able to prove to Zoe that I'm not interested in Ethan. But at the same time, I'll also have to deal with Ethan's presence while I'm trying to get to know another man. At least this way, I can make it perfectly clear to him that I'm not going to be his casual plaything. Maybe things will end up being really interesting after all. Sure. I've already started looking forward to it, I say with a smile. Still, I'm not doing this just for Zoe or Ethan. I'm doing it for myself. This is an opportunity to meet a handsome, interesting man who's genuinely looking for a serious relationship. So, why not? Tell me more about Anthony. During dinner, Zara shared with me everything she knew about Anthony. She said he'd been married before but had no children, was 35 years old, and had spent some time abroad for work. I figured he must be quite experienced. I started looking forward to dinner. Though I didn't want to admit it, I knew my anticipation had nothing to do with meeting Anthony himself. It all had to do with the fact that Ethan would be there too.